Hey everybody, before the show starts, log on to musicmoneymakeover.com/shop to download all my books and free guides. And while you're there, click on the Book a Call tab to book a one-on-one Zoom call with me to get all your music business questions solved. Enjoy the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Music Money Makeover Show. My name is Casey Graham, and on this episode, we're talking about the top ways you can make $10,000, right, as a music producer. Now, I'm going to give a quick disclaimer to this, and then I'm going to talk about it again in the preface of the video, all right? So check it out. This is not the quickest way you can make $10,000 as a music producer. This is going to be the bona fide guaranteed top ways you can make that $10,000. And I'm not talking about selling beat packs, selling sample kits. I'm not talking about leasing beats. I'm not talking about building an ecosystem where you're selling merch and all of this. I'm talking about my music producers who want to work with artists and get their music out on artists. That's what this video is about. Now, if you want to donate to the channel, you can do so right over here. And if you want to skip Copyright Explain, you can do so right below. But let's jump into Copyright Explain so you can understand what I'm talking about on today's episode. Here we go. Copyright, the sole right which an author has in their own original literary compositions. The exclusive right of an author to print, publish, and vend their own literary works for their own benefit. Now, of course, there are two main rights of copy that the music industry operates and revolves around, and that's the masters and the publishing. And the masters is referred to as the sound recording copyright. Sound recordings as in records, masters, phonogram, or the audio recording file, i.e. the WAV, MP3, AIFF of the composition and or song. Now, you can collect your master recording royalties or the proceeds due from the sale and streaming of the master recording via your distributor like TuneCore or DistroKid, and if you have a major label deal, then it's them, all right? Now, you can also collect the performance royalties via the master sound recording via Sound Exchange and PPL over in the UK. Sound Exchange is based here in America. And if you are outside of America, any other organization that collects these sound recording performance royalties are referred to as neighboring rights. Now, publishing is referred to as a performing arts copyright here in America. Okay, performing arts as in the composition, sheet music, MIDI files, publishing, or song to be performed. You can collect the performance royalties for the composition via BMI, CSAC, ASCAP here in America and PRS over in the UK, and other countries have their own performing rights organization as well to collect those royalties for you. All right, now you can collect the mechanical royalties due from the composition via Harry Fox, Music Reports, and the Mechanical Licensing Collective here in America. You can also collect your mechanical royalties over in the UK from MCPS. So now, Lyric Find right here. You can get your lyric display royalties from Lyric Find and Music Match, but that's that. Let's go through the 6 rights of copyright to be exercised to the fullest extent of the United States Code under Title 17, and that's the right to reproduce. The right to reproduce the copyrighted work in copies or phonorecords, physical or digital format. The right to prepare derivative works. The right to prepare derivative works based upon the copyrighted work. The right to distribute copies or phonorecords of the copyrighted work to the public by sale or other transfer of ownership or by rental, lease, or lending. And then we have the right to public performance, the right to perform the copyrighted work publicly, the right to public display, the right to display the copyrighted work publicly, and the right to digital performance, and that's the right to digital audio transmission performance. Okay, so we are back from Copyright Explained. Thank you for watching that. If you need a refresher for any of my videos, you can always visit Copyright Explained. Like I said, I'm going to reiterate what I said in the beginning in the preface of this video. Okay, now, the math in this video, you're going to have to follow it carefully and closely because a lot of times people leave money on the table when they release stuff with major label artists, okay? And I'm going to address some things from my producer contract course in this video. All right, so if you want to download that producer contract course, you can do so on musicmoneymakeover.com. All right, and just pay for the course and then you go through it. There's a lot of information in that course, but I'll give you a little sneak peek in today's video. Here we go. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Inside of the Computer. Once again, to reiterate some things that I may have said already, this is the top ways that you can make $10,000 as a new producer. Yes, these are very possible outcomes depending on your network, okay? This is not the quickest way you can make $10,000. This is not every single method on how you can make $10,000. This ain't got nothing to do with all the ancillary stuff that you can do by leasing beats, selling beat packs, whatever selling sample libraries, whatever it is you do, this is the top ways of going directly in the door, selling music as a music producer directly to the labels, the proper way you would normally do this, which is what every music producer really kind of wants to do. Everybody doesn't want to sit around selling beat packs and sample libraries and this and that and the third. People really want to get some real money for their art, and they want to get it noticed. So these are the top ways that you can make some cash doing it the not old school way, but the direct way, if you will. Okay. So with all that being said, let's look at the preface here. Here's what you're going to need to get the cash. You're going to need some major or major indie record label connects. That should say connects. But you're going to need a major or a major indie record label to pull this off, because we're trying to get $10,000 in multiple different ways. Okay, I'm giving you my top ways. All right. You need a PRO account. That's BMI, ASCAP, or CSAC if you're here in America. PRS, AMCOS over in Australia. I want to make sure I'm saying that right. And whatever it is in your country. All right. MLC, Music Reports, and Harry Fox here in America. All right. You're going to need a bank account, preferably business. You're going to need an LLC. Now, I know other countries don't have LLCs. All right. But here in America, you're going to need a limited liability company to do this. And you're going to need an EIN number, because what's going to happen is you're going to see some other things that will be generated, okay, by means of getting $10,000 in these different methods. You're going to generate cash in other revenue forms at the same time while we're focusing on one method each time. So let's go through it. I will go through the math slowly because I know a lot of people got lost on the last one I did for new artists. It might have went above your heads. I get that I got this contract thing here down, so I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. Let's keep rolling. All right. So today's categories are streaming, digital downloads, just like it was last week with the new artist video. All right. Music publishing, that's performance royalties and mechanical royalties, and then the synchronization fees. Okay, now you'll see that live shows is out because, as a producer, that's not going to be one of your top categories. Even though you can get performance royalties from the live show itself, that's not going to be one of your top categories in this section right here. So now these are going to be our top ways that I'm going to break down. Follow the math, pause the video if you need to run the calculations. I promise there won't be any mistakes this time as there was last week. So here we go. Now, today's predication for the example that I will use is a music producer that took an advance plus producer points at 4%. Retain 50% of the composition. All right, that includes writers and publishing for 2 placements with an artist on a major or major indie label. All right, let's go through it again. The example that I will use is a music producer that took an advance plus producer points, all right, at 4%. 4 points, 4% of the sales, okay, and retain 50% of the composition. That includes writers and publishing for 2 placements with an artist on a major or major indie label. Like major indie, I mean like Empire Records or something like that. You know what I mean? Like they can operate like a major, but they're not really a major or any of the major 3. So let us dig in. Now, first things first, this is going to be some easy money. We've got our connects up. We hit the conferences. We showed people we can make beats. They hooked us in with the artists. We did some hard work. And we're now getting 2 beats placed on an artist's album or two beats placed on these artists that are on the record label. Okay, the record label is going to give us an advance. A producer advance, okay? This is going to be the quickest money you're going to get. It's going to be upfront. It's probably going to come to you 90 days within the record company accepting your producer agreement. Now, the producer sold some beats to a major record label for placement on a major artist, but he or she is new, okay? You're brand new, so this producer fee of $5,000 right here, $5,000 US dollars to the producer, that's you, times 2 beats equals $10,000. Give me my money, record company. Now, in exchange for this, you forked over your masters. Happens to every producer at the record labels. So don't cry, they paid for the masters. You produced a product, you sold it to them, and the product that you produce was a master recording that encompasses the words, the lyrics, the melody, and the performance of the artist, and you fork that over for $5,000. No harm, no foul. This happens all the time, has been happening since the 1940s. That's what it is. That's why you go and get your advance check. You fork over the masters. Now, without all the crying, let's keep going. So you got a quick 10,000. Cool, we already did it. Now, I'm going to explain why this is in red. We're going to stay on this slide for a minute. Rock with me. Now, the producer royalty when it comes to the points. So, otherwise known as producer points. So, since our average streaming rate is 0.30038 cents, now we're talking about streaming. Now we're talking about how we're going to get the royalties from the streams. We're in streaming land here. So, if this is our average rate, all right, low scale being like YouTube, which is 0.001, or, high scale being like Amazon Music, Tidal, which is 0.01. They pay roughly at a penny, okay, per stream. We have to determine what the 4% producer royalty is out of that, okay? Now, I already did the math for you. If you know how to do this basic grade school math, you'll get the same number. It's 0.001 or 0.000152 cents, all right? Now, take $10,000, divide that by our royalty rate, and we get 65 million streams. Now, if the label has some type of, competency about themselves and has plans and money and cash to promote the album, then this is very doable in the form of streams. This does not have to strictly come from Spotify itself. We have an average rate here. It could come from YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, Amazon Music, you name it, Pandora, whatever it is coming from. It could be an accumulated amount of streams around this number right here. These are average numbers, so this is going to be the ballpark figure that you're looking at to get your $10,000 for the producer royalty. Now, why is this in red? This is in red because if we go back, remember, you advanced yourself $10,000. That $10,000 that you got was an advance against the producer royalty that you signed up for. So once you pay that back, then you can get the $10,000 that you're shooting for. We're going to go through this, and I'm going to explain how that's going to work. But in the process of you paying back your $10,000, because you own 50% of the publishing, you self-publish, you know what I mean? You got your own stuff. Nobody's getting your money for you. And assuming, I'm just going into technical terms, that the record company did not reduce the mechanical. Some of you, medium weight producers know what I mean by a reduced mechanical. All right. Everything was just cut and dry, straight up fair. You generated around about this much money in mechanical royalties and performance royalties. Now, why is it that? Remember, 50%. Okay. It's really double this number. So if you add these two numbers up, you get around $30,000 or $32,000, something like that. That would encompass, the whole 10%. But because you split 50% with the writer and 50% with you as a producer, this is what you got: $15,000 for mechanicals and $15,000 for the performance royalty based on 65 million streams. Now, that's not too bad. So that's why I say stop leaving money on the table. So you got to make sure that you're registered for this. Now, this $15,000 is raw. This is untapped. This is not saying that you went through a publisher and they collected their percentage. So let's keep going. Now, how does that payback work? Well, I'm going to slap a little video right here, as you can see. And this is from the producer contract course, and I walk people through how Record One actually works with it. But I'm going to take a little piece out of it so you can see that there's actually good stuff in these in the course that I have on the site. Now, royalties shall be payable to producer retroactively to the first record sold after. Now, this is from the contract, my producer contract on musicmoneymakeover.com. Royalties shall be payable to producer retroactively to the first record sold after the recoupment from royalties payable to artist, okay, in accordance with the recording agreement, of all recording costs with respect to the artist album on which the masters are contained at the net artist rate. So now, before I finish that, net artist rate is just the artist rate that is left after the percentages have been taken out. Okay. and they are now recouping. They're in the process of recouping. But in order to make this record one thing work, we have to throw in some more verbiage here. Okay? That is artist royalty rate, excluding the royalties payable to producer and all other independent producers appearing on the artist album. Right? We only want to be responsible for the $10,000 we advanced ourselves. Now, this is subject only to the recoupment of the advance payable to the producer. That's the verbiage right there that will make you responsible for your payment only. I mean, your advance only. Once your advance is taken care of, your $10,000, then they have to go all the way back to the first album sold and then start paying you 4% on each album or each stream at that point. All right? So that's how that goes. Now, let's keep rolling. Now, sometimes, and let me clarify this, sometimes they won't do this. They'll just start paying you out, but I like to request that they go back and pay you retroactively to that. So that's just what it is now. All right, let's keep going. So now, since our average streaming rate is 0.0038 cents, and we're still on streaming, we're now caught up. We've already recouped our $10,000, and this is what it looks like. Since our average streaming rate is 0.0038 cents per stream, we have to determine what the 4% producer royalty is out of that. It is 0.00152 cents. Okay, and we take our 10,000 divided by that, we get 65 million streams. But we have to double the amount just to pay back the advance, so it's really 131 streams. Now, this is very, very doable when you have a major artist. But don't worry, we're talking about the top ways for a new producer. You came in the game, you got some connections, you really worked hard, you got some great product, you got the beats placed, and you got 131 million streams. You got now your $10,000 that we were shooting for in the form of a producer royalty. But in the midst of all of that, you actually generated 31,000 in mechanicals and in performance royalties. All right, now this 10% here and this 10% here is give or take. It depends on what the streaming service did in that particular month. Okay, but it's going to be around this average figure. So I just put 10%, so it'd be rich. That way if you lose a little bit, it's okay. All right. So now, stop leaving money on the table. Go ahead and make sure you got your BMI stuff done, your ASCAP stuff done, and make sure you're registered to receive your mechanical royalties through the MLC, Harry Fox, or Music Reports. And if you don't want to do it yourself, go through a publisher to get it done. All right. Now, that was all streaming, and we're back to the mechanicals again. Let's say, we knew that we took $10,000. It was going to be a minute. All right. But we have a more doable number to make $10,000 yet again in two different categories. Now, if our producer royalty rate is 0.00152 at 4%, okay, and then the mechanical royalty rate per stream is roughly 0.00475, and the same for performance royalty. Now, remember, the producer owns 50% of pub and writers, so the rates must be divided by 2. So this is our actual rate. 0.0002375, and we take a $10,000 with our $10,000 that we want to get to. We divide it by our rate, and we need 42 million streams to reach the point of accumulating $10,000 in mechanical and performance royalties. Now, if this is happening all at the same time, you realize that you didn't pay your producer royalty back just yet. Remember what we just talked about? You got to get some more streams before you can finish paying your producer royalty back. So at this point, you at 42 million streams, you've generated this much based on your 50% ownership of the publishing, and you have not quite paid back your producer advance yet, but at least you got $20,000 out the game so far. This is what I mean by handling your business. You know what I mean? So let's keep rolling here. So the next top way is sales. If you have an artist that's doing that much in streams, then it's not impossible to see the same number kind of show up. Well, not in terms of units, but in terms of volume, if you will, like in terms of strength, show up in the downloads. Now, these do still exist.
this is very possible to sell 109,000 units. I know this is a bit of a stretch to sell 219,000 units. It's got to be like Taylor Swift or something to sell that many units at this point. And you're probably not a new producer by that point. But I just wanted to do this, that this is another top way. iTunes downloads still do exist. It's another way to get some quick mechanicals. Okay. So in order to get those $10,000 in mechanicals, this is needed. But remember, we had to split it in two. Okay. So 50%. So that means we got to double the number of units. And this is what it is. Okay. So you need that many to get $10,000 for yourself. And when that happens and you sell that many downloads, you actually get $10,000 for the artist or writer. Well, in this case, just the writer, and $10,000 for the producer. Okay. So actually, in mechanicals, you actually generated this much right here. So now, let's keep rolling. Synchronization fees. We're back here again. Typical sync agent fees is either 50% or 25%. I like the agents that do 25% and the ones that don't take publishing. Those are my favorite agents. It lets me know if you're taking less, you're working harder. If you're taking more, you kind of do a lot of back-end work and you're working hard, but it's like you're moving a little bit at a slower pace than the one that's taking 25%, because they're like, I got to work for this 25%. All right, so I like the 25% sync agents out there. If you find them, you found a gem, and hopefully they work really, really hard and they have a staff to do so. Now, a sync agent is a person who places a song with a television or movie production house for use in a film or television program. Okay? So this is our split from earlier in the example. This is what it's looking like. Well, actually, excuse me, that was wrong. This is what it will look like when it comes to synchronization. This is called a side. Per side. If you ever get so far in the industry and you get synchronization fees, it's called a per side. The labeled or the master side is a side, and the publisher side is a side. Okay? Now, what's going to happen here is a typical television sync fee is around $7,500 for 60 to 90 seconds for major networks, or up to $12,000 plus for premium networks. Okay? Like I'm saying, hard work but high payoff here. Okay, every song isn't suited for television, but this is what we're looking at: $7,500 minus 25% agent fee, which is $1,800 roughly. We're left with $5,625. Divide that by 2, because per side, remember, goes to the label, goes to publishers, and because you're a publisher, remember the label bought the master, so you don't get to see that. Okay, even if you do have the royalty, that's only for sales. That doesn't qualify for synchronization unless you write it in the contract. But in this example, we didn't do that. So $2,812.50 goes to the publishers. Split that in 2. This is your payout on one of the syncs. You need 7 of these syncs to achieve your $10,000. All right. So, television and film can pay out pretty nicely. Plus, you get performance royalties in addition to, the sync fee itself. And then on top of that, when people hear it in television shows, they want to Shazam it and they want to go listen to it online. So it's a win-win when it comes to synchronization. People start to find you based off of these. All right. So final verdict. It's going to take some hard work to make this happen, and it will take money, but it is possible. Don't shortchange yourself and stay focused. I'm out of here.
All right, that is it for today's episode. Thank you for watching. Make sure you go to musicmoneymakeover.com, download the free ebook. All right, and then download all the other ebooks on the website. All right, for the motorbike outside. Download all the free stuff, the free ebook on the site. And if you want the producer's contract course, that is on the site as well. If you want to dig into more about production contracts, right? I break it all down in that course. It's almost like 16 sections in that course. And we're talking about how to get every dime you can with the right paperwork and how to do it with the paperwork. All right. Anyway, I will see you all later. Peace. Hey everybody, thanks for watching the show. Log on to musicmoneymakeover.com/shop to download all my books and free guides. And while you're there, click on the book a call tab to get a one-on-one Zoom call with me to get all your music business questions answered and solved. Thanks for watching.